past haunts us all. Whether it be a person, place, or thing, we are reluctant to let go. We call to the dead out of desperation and intrigue, searching for answers about what lies behind the shadows. We are paranormal researchers. We are Necromancers. Hello and welcome to the Necromancer live show. I am your host, Justin Brown, and this is episode 62. The last two guests have been sick. This is the weather for ucky sickness. Okay, so I'm sorry for the cancellation last week. I had another cancellation this week, but we have saved Necromancer live show episode 62, and Holly Mullins has saved it. Okay, that's who's on tonight. If you have not caught the last episode Holly was on, she is a intuitive healer and a granny woman. If you don't know what a granny woman is, we will explain it again. It's a very unique title, I'm going to call it, from it's very regional, and I think it's pretty cool. So we're going to go over to our friends. Hold on, let me pop up this window. Here we go. Go ahead and unmute yourself, guys, and we'll get the show on the road. What's up, Holly? What's up, girls? What's up, guys? What's up, gang?
Hi.
Hello.
Let me see if I got this. It's not working for some reason. Let me fix this real quick, guys. Just one moment.
Look, you got my name underneath you, Justin. Look at that. You know, looks sexy.
For some reason, it's frozen.
It did.
I don't know why.
Just because it's cold outside.
Let me see if I can fix this, guys. Sorry that this is not working right. Window capture. Okay. It's a frozen window capture, so I might just have to switch it to display capture because now it's not working. Oh, I hate technical difficulties. Alright, we'll just get rid of that. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Sometimes this happens. I'll just switch to display capture and go with it. Display capture. Okay. Let's see if this one works right. Okay, that's going to work. So, we'll shrink that down. Alright. We'll see if this is going to work. Okay, there you go. Now we see people. For some reason, it just froze. So, welcome to episode 62, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We got Holly Mullins with us. We got Derek Schreiner, Jessica Bias, and myself. We're going to talk about Holly, get you guys reacquainted with Holly, and then we're going to talk about a location in Ohio that we have both been to in 2018. And it's an interesting location. And but before we get to that, Holly, you're an intuitive healer, and you're a granny woman. Why don't you tell our viewers what that means to you? What's your definition of those titles?
Sure, Justin. So intuitive healer for me, I'm a natural healer. I do a lot of energy work and hands-on healing. So granny woman, the title from that is a very old term for just not people of the Appalachian Mountains, but people in the Ozarks as well. These were people that come over from Europe. They had the skills of herbalism, and they had the skills of the old ways of healing. Once we settled here in the United States, we met with the Native Americans, and that we traded different types of remedies for certain things, and of course the old ways as in magic. So pretty much in a bunch, that's what granny women are. We're herbalists. Back in the day, they served as the doctors of the communities. I don't claim to be a doctor, so if you got something going on down there, I don't want to see it, but I will lay my hands on you.
So what you're trying to say is people have offered up some they've suggested you help them with some things with that comment, or?
No, but I'm just putting that out there. That's a public service announcement.
Okay.
But
All
no,
right.
seriously, that's where I've really kind of rooted myself in. I actually am into herbalism. I grow my own herbs, and I love working with herbs, and plus my energy work that I use. So yeah, that's pretty much Granny Woman in a nutshell.
Awesome. Okay. You also do it's like a form of Reiki that I've seen you do. You do a healing, where it's similar to Reiki. Am I right, or is it different?
Oh, absolutely, it is. Reiki is a Japanese art. It's taught as to where my healing abilities were just like, boom, here you go, Holly, figure out how to use it. So it's very natural. So I just stick with energy work. Reiki, like I said, it's a lot of, I don't want to say ritualism, but symbolism. You learn by the book, you go by the book, and that's it. So for me, I'm just guided by spirit. So I go and do whatever spirit leads me to do. So yeah, it's quite different. And I've had people ask me why I'm not Reiki certified, but I explained to them I'm not drawn to Reiki, and that's cool because from the Southern Gypsies, you have Rhonda. She's a Reiki master, so she does energy work too, but it's different. And she'll tell you, she's like, I'm not like Holly. We're different. She uses hers for energy work on people, so she does give people sessions. I use mine for just not only energy work and hands-on healing, but to work with negative energy as well. So, it goes a little deeper than that.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I figure you should clarify it, because I know when I've seen a few videos that you put out there during your sessions, and it looks similar, but I completely understand, because I've actually messed around with a few similar types of energy healing, and not to the degree you have, but actually I can relate to everything you just said. So that's pretty interesting. We can go more into that later, but
Yeah.
just so the viewers know, if you haven't watched this show before, if you have a question for Holly, just put it down in the comments. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves, initiate and spark any type of engagement and communication that you would like to. And let's get the show on the road. Holly,
Do it.
have you
Justin.
heard of this place called the Bel Air House?
I have. I actually visited there in October.
What? Why did you want to go to Why did you want to go there? Any reason outside just the general interest of a place with haunted claims?
Um, Actually, Bill Reap had a event up there, and the Southern Gypsies were there for a spiritualist investigation. So that's why we were at the Bel Air House, and I've heard about the Bel Air House, but I didn't know the history of it or the haunting behind it. Like most locations that I go to, I never really want to know what's going on because I like to go in blind and see what energies I pick up on. But it was definitely interesting. I think the town in a whole is interesting, and that might kick us off a little bit because I don't know if you just like visited the town around it. It's just like it's weird because everybody. It's like Misty said too. You kind of go into town and you just want to off yourself. You want to jump off a bridge, and that's the type of feel that the whole town has. I mean, which also there's a lot of drug abuse in that town. So,
Right. You're referring to Moundsville, which is over across the river, and that little small community of Bel Air.
yeah, yeah, it's got a different feel. It's weird. We spent 2 days there, and we went to a local shop and set up and done readings as well. And you could just, I don't know, it's a different feel. The whole town is you know, all of it, and it's a town too as well, which I know how that is because I'm from country too. But definitely different. The town overall. I don't know how you felt about it, Justin.
I can kind of generalize about it. We were there in January for the Haunted Relic Expo at the Sanford Center with Paranormal Quest, the one Steve Hummel does at the Archive of the Afterlife in January, and we investigated the Sanford building, and then we stopped by the Bel Air House because Dave Spinks and Kristen Lee were hanging out there that night, and Dave and Kristen had invited me and a few other the members over, Derek, Missy, and a former member over there, and we actually hung out there for quite a while. We only planned to do it for a couple hours, but it was like 3 or 4 in the morning by the time we left. And like you said, the town's it's like a old just river town that never went anywhere. I guess a metaphysicist would say it's got a low vibration, a lot of depression, lots of like, what am I here for? There's no, no reason to live type vibe.
Yeah,
Very
really
dreary. And I've been to a lot of places like that. I'm from a small town in southern Ohio, and there's just a lot of places like that around the Ohio River area and the Ohio Valley area. And what's interesting is you get a mixture of ancient Native American stuff. We have, I think it's Grave Mound. Is that what it's called across from West Virginia Penitentiary?
Oh, I don't know, but I know one thing that when we were there, they did mention behind the Bel Air house that there's some type of mound there. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything.
The only mound that I know of is the one across from there. That, of course, they were probably all around the area that were destroyed. Maybe some were surveyed, some weren't. But I picked up on that, and the Ohio River especially has this energy to it that's funky, and I think it has a lot to do possibly with the paranormal phenomena that people report, a spectrum like UFOs, interdimensional, spiritual, psychokinetics, all kinds of stuff, right? So yeah, it's an interesting place. The Bel Air house is your quintessential haunted house with a twist. There's a lot of claims, a lot of stories Kristen has told. If no one's familiar with the story, Kristen's experience there, you can watch the Paranormal Lockdown episode. You can go to their website. There's probably a lot of videos on YouTube that you can watch. But basically, do you remember the story? Do you want me to tell it? Because I'd rather you tell it.
Me?
Yeah.
No. I just know, I just, listen, I'm bad with history. Don't judge me, guys. I'm the worst ever paranormal investigator. I guess that's why I don't do it anymore. But history is not my thing. But all I know is bits and pieces, and I have the worst memory. And it makes me probably, I don't know, whatever. But I do know there was a spiritualist. The house was used as a spiritualist gathering to have seances. I do know that much. So go ahead.
Right. We'll make this real quick. The person who owned the house prior to Kristen Lee and her family, they had lost a family member, and it hit them hard. And spiritualism was kind of rampant at that time, and a lot of people did seances, and they performed seances in the house, to my knowledge and memory, to try to contact this dead family member. I think it was Ed Witherington. Like, hopefully Derek can help.
Was his wife?
No, the guy that was doing the seances. Like,
I'm bad.
Worthington, I think, was his last name.
It was something like that. Anyway,
yeah,
they'll correct us. They'll research it.
And his wife, I think, was actually the one doing the seances. He died, and she did the seances to resurrect his spirit to communicate with him.
Okay. Yeah, I was foggy on. So you have that history of the house mixed with all the other stuff. There's allegedly ley lines. There's allegedly, some underground tunnels, Indian burial mounds, all types of, reasons or recipes why this should be haunted. So fast forward to, I think, the 90s, I'm thinking. Kristen had lost her home due to flood, and she found the house real cheap, and the stars aligned. They loved the house. For some reason, it was really cheap, I guess. They moved in. They thought that they were out of, harm's way, and they were going to finally, settle down and be happy. But then they started, experiencing a haunting that was really bad and nasty, that tore the marriage and the family apart. And for some strange reason, she's still hanging around there, which is interesting to me. Some people get obsessed with these type of things. I've seen it time and time again with owners of haunted locations, even after it's tore their family apart, wrecked their lives. It's hard for them to shake it and get rid of it. Why do you think that is, Holly? What's your explanation for that?
I think it's almost okay. The way that I explain it is that whatever's there is already there. But if you bring a family in a home where there's any kind of opening for energy to affect you, then it will. So it's I always compare it to having a cut or having surgery and not having that wound took care of. You're bound to get an infection, right? So it leaves room. So if there's any type of underlying issues such as depression, things feed on that and it can become so much more. So the aggressiveness in them situations, I definitely, I've never been in a situation, Justin, where I could say to a family that, oh, you're just unlucky, they just wanted to fuck with you. That's not, I've never come across that. I've always come across what spawned this. Where did this come from? That energy might have been underlying all this time, but what caused that energy to pick up or to kind of latch on and feed off of? So I always look at things like that from the psychic point of view, from the investigation point of view. If you're looking into the psychiatric psychology, everything, take the spiritual out of it, take the psychic work, take the paranormal investigation work out of it. Obviously, we know if you're in a bad situation, it attracts bad, but I don't know. I always like to look at it different ways, but yeah. Hope that makes sense.
Well, yeah. The way I look at it is people can move into a home, experience nothing. Some people can move into a home and it's, Amityville. So with that being said, there is some type of trigger, whether it be how you vibrate, what you emanate from yourselves, like you were saying. So you make a connection, you trigger something, whether you do it intentionally or not, you're part of the recipe. And
Yep.
the research that we all try to do is trying to figure out, well, what, part do the people living in these homes play in the haunting? And it's always curiosity that I've had, because it's never the right or the same answer case to case.
Right. Absolutely.
So now she's opening this up for paranormal research, because I genuinely believe that she wants to know what wrecked her life, even though she has probably learned a lot about the paranormal through this process. I mean, she would be the first to tell you that. But now she's trying to get feedback from others. She's trying to open it up so other people can try to understand and experience it. Can you tell us what was the first thing you picked up on? Either coming onto the property, going into the home, whenever it happened, what was the first thing?
Gosh, I got to think, because it was, I got there at night late, and it was raining. I was thinking, damn, it's rainy, and, no, I'm playing. So I guess I would have to say at the top, the attic. I was very drawn to the attic. I kept asking her if there was meetings there of some type. And then as the day went on, the next day, I finally understood what was happening. I was just feeling this energy. It's almost like a meeting, a council, almost like someone was having some type of ritualistic meetings. And by that, I mean, it could be anything. But now I understand a little bit more since I know more information, if that makes sense. But I think, people are drawn to certain parts because we pick up on different energies. We don't all pick up on the same thing. So as, say, you would walk in and pick up on a certain area of the house, I would pick up on another because I'm just very drawn to that energy. My energy is different than your energy, and we pick up different energy, right? So I was very drawn to the attic. I kept feeling the presence of a child. and the shadows upstairs as well. I don't know. I was very drawn to upstairs, and that's where I wanted to be. And yeah, I mean, it was very cool because we had Michelle LeBron. She brought her box with her, and that little thing was just neat. And it just made sense to me. Everything that was coming through on the box, because it's a really cool box. I don't even know. I'm not a techie person. Y'all know this by now. This is why I had Josh on my team. But it's the application that you hook to the box, and the box is specially made. And through the app, it would do reverse, the reverse ghost box. I don't know. It's weird. The voices. So if the voices spoke front like regularly, then that was spirit coming through. But it was really cool because I could see things happening around me. Almost interdimensional is what I would have to say at the Bel Air house. And I got confirmation from Kristen with that, as I talked about it, because it's almost like they are living a different life on a way different level. This is old energy too that lies right there on top of the house, and it was wild.
Right. Before we get into what I may have picked up on, we're going to do some shout outs. So why don't we start with Derek and Facebook? Why don't you let us know who's on Facebook watching? And
Okay, let me get to the top of my list. Joe Vitale, Josh Bender, me, Heather Elliott, Becky Compton was watching, Sandy Griffin was watching, Christy Brown, and that is it at the moment. And I do have a question when you're ready for it.
Shoot.
Okay, Christy wanted to know, Holly, have you ever done readings on someone where you have gotten something bad from it? Did it affect you? And do you protect yourself after doing readings?
That is a good question, Christy. I do a lot of, I don't know if I talked about it on the show previously, and I think I did. I do a lot of work with negative energy, and by that I mean that if I'm in a situation where I have a client, or if I have someone that I'm working on, or if a paranormal team comes to me and they're having issues with negative energies, I'm the first one who kind of dives in, and it's weird. The situations that I've been in are, there's kind of intense situations. One in particular was in PA, and we were doing a paranormal roundtable, and a girl there who has been on TV multiple times for her possessions. And I mean, like, possessions, which I know, it's a northern thing, I think, but I'm just making jokes. But seriously, she was on Paranormal Survivor, and she happened to be in the room. Something took over her, and and I had no clue. Like, I knew she told me she had been on Paranormal Survivor and all that, and I've never heard her story before, so I knew nothing about her. And long story short, I was the first one to see her kind of zone out, and I could pick up that energy immediately. Negative energy comes in the room, I know it immediately. You feel it, and you go into defense mode. I go into the biggest defense mode ever. Recently, too, when we was at Brushy Mountain, I get in the defense mode. So people automatically think that I'm channeling or that I'm being took over myself, but I'm not. If I am being took over, I would like to think that that is my higher self stepping up, which I believe it is, because I don't care what that person's doing. At that point, she was on her knees and her eyes were all messed up. It was weird. I never saw anybody be in such a situation before, unless I was watching TV, and then I would laugh because I would think it was bullshit. But no, it was for real, and her eyes were not her eyes. She was growling. It was the full Monty, and everybody was backed away from her, and all I wanted to do was go up to her. And that was my instinct. I went up to her because to me, when I'm in a situation where I'm going up against negative, I am the light. I have to be the one that radiates that positivity. So there's no fear involved. They're just defense, like pure defense. And as far as it affecting me, it has not. And it's weird because I think when I switch, when I do connect with my higher self, the protection gets even more armored up because it's a different me. And not many people get to see me change like that. And I get really aggressive in a good way, though. But I've never been affected afterwards. And I'm usually good. I'll stay quiet. I'll usually just pull back, get the hermit tendencies, only because I'm just, that's my way of dealing with energy. And like that. But I never take on that energy myself, and nobody should ever take on that energy for themselves. I do a lot of grounding work and shielding work. As far as religion, I don't do. I'm more spiritual. So I hope that I answered them questions for you. But anyway, that girl was all right afterwards. There's 4 of us doing some energy work on her, pulling this thing off of her. So it was intense. I will remember that till the day I die.
I remember you telling this story in the last show.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was weird.
Okay, Jessica, do some YouTube shout-outs.
Sure. We have Val, Joe, Scotty, Eric, Sassatina, and PWI. I have 4 questions. The one I'm going to read off first was related to the Belle Isle house. Does the owners get the money from the people who investigate? It could be the reason why she stays.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know the situation with that. Who knows?
As far as I know, yes, she does.
Okay. Val asks, Holly, does your energy drain when you're conducting an energy healing session? And how do you regain, protect yourself from energy being drained?
Yeah, it depends on how many sessions I do. And I've done up to like 15 to 20 sessions in within like 5 to 6 hours. And I've done that recently in Florida. And by the end of the day, I just want to go to sleep because it's like, as paranormal investigators, we talk about the paranormal hangover. Same thing. It's just really, it does drain you. And I've read before and heard people talk that it's not supposed to drain you if you're doing it properly, but that's not true because think of it, even though you're not doing the work, you are being channeled. So that energy is coming through you. And that's a lot to take on. So it does drain me, and I just relax. I ground myself. I push this energy down, make sure I'm rooted and shielding myself, and just, really taking time for myself. And like that hermit tendencies, like I talked about. And people catch it. People who are close to me, they know when I'm pulling back. I'm like the ocean, they say, because I pull back with the tide. But it's only that's my way of grounding and getting my energy back.
Okay. Val also had another question. When you pick up an energy, what does it feel like? Or what exactly is it that you experience?
So depending on the energy that I interact with, and it's different with each one. So negative energies, instantly they give me, they hit my stomach really hard. I get almost sick to my stomach, and I just feel it through my whole body. I get really defensive, of course, like I just talked about. It's almost, if you're ever around me, I'm a fun-loving person and love and light, and I want to hug everybody. But if negative energy comes involved, like if I come across it, I will buck up and I get really defensive. And yeah, that's how I deal with the negative. But the positive part of it, like spirits, my hands heat up sometimes. Like tonight, they're heating up. So y'all are putting a lot of energy out to me tonight. So there's a lot going on with the viewers out there. So my hands heat up, not as much as they used to when I first started coming into my abilities and trying to figure out who I was. That's why they call me Hot Hands Holly, if you ever hear them joking about that. But I just feel them. It's just different. I take on some of their, I can feel some of their pains, like, it's just different with whatever's coming through.
I'll also
Okay.
add to that, Holly, a lot of the people that have told me that their energy workers and healers transmit heat through their hands. That's common. I've heard about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've actually transmitted through my feet before, but that was when I didn't know how to control what I had, and I didn't honestly, I didn't understand I was a healer at that point. But I would walk in places like big crowds like Walmart, and my feet even would be on fire. So what it is now is I've learned how to control my energy. And so I can better balance it. So it's not, my hands are not supposed to heat up to 115 degrees like they were doing. And sometimes they do, but it's only because that's a lot of energy around me, or a stronger energy. I realize that now. But back in the day, I used to get the therm out and take it to my hand constantly. And I'm like, 115, it was crazy. And you could see how red hot my hands were getting. But usually now people just feel it when I touch them.
Okay. The last question was from Scotty, and I actually had to scratch my head about this one, but he had to explain it to me. He wants to know, would Holly please teach him the dim Mac? That's, I guess, the death touch. And I had to ask him what that meant.
I mean, sometimes I like to go Kill Bill on people, but I don't know none of that.
And that's it for right now.
All right. Interesting. So thanks for the questions. Hopefully you guys come up with some more if they come to you. So let's get back to the Bellower house for a moment. I will kind of convey what I picked up on. Excuse me. The stuff that I believe that I pick up on, of course, this is the inner truth for me. It's not an objective truth. It's not the science Justin talking. It's the inner. So I pick up on people's living conscious energy, like now, especially if they're close. Like Christy, it's like it's my own emotions and sensations and feelings, and it comes across amplified. So when I walk into a space for the first time, that's when it's most intense, because just like any other feeling or sensation or thought, when you first feel it, it's intense and then it subsides. So when you walk into someone's home, you feel if they have an anxiety, if they're having depression, if they're really happy, whatever, however it vibrates, however it feels, that's what I'm feeling. So when I go in there, it's like, oh no. And each level's different. So the first level is like very mysterious, very like, you don't know where to look. There's something there, but you don't know where it's coming from type sensation. And when you go up to the second floor, it's kind of like, oh no, there's something, the disturbing feeling gets worse. Go down the basement. I didn't really feel a lot, but that's when I actually picked up on an entity, like it was hiding down there. But when you get to the third attic space, that's when it's like, bam, that's gross. But there's a location that goes from up and all the way up at the attic, at that window looking down the street, at that, and it goes all the way down through the floor, straight through the building, all the way down to the basement, to the earth. And it's...
Oh my God, you picked up on that too? Hot damn. Yeah, me too. I was like, you have like this vortex going straight up, down right here. I feel it.
Well, that's what I've discovered in places. When you have those type of energies, they're always like that. Atop of stairs, if you go to homes that have staircases on the very top, a lot of times it starts there and it goes straight down. Sometimes there's 3 places, not just one. Sometimes it comes in 3s. It's really interesting. So I picked up on that. The dark, it looked like a shadow, a figure in my mind's eye. It wasn't actually in my optics, but it was there in my head. And I thought that was weird. I'm like, why am I sensing a shadow figure guy over here? And then Missy Bastine comes along. She's like, shadow figure right there. I'm like, what? I was, wondering if I was imagining that. So that's weird that happened. So it's kind of a validating thing. And, you pick up on a lot of stuff. I guess there's a theory that there's ley lines there or something. And when you go to the windows and that straight up and down vortex, whatever you want to call it, there's something about it that's, natural to the location. It feels natural, but everybody's moving in and the tragedies and the things happening around the house has caused a disturbance. Now, do you agree there's a disturbance with that? And if you do agree, what will you say about the disturbance?
It's hard for me to. Everything in me when I was there was saying, it's like there's a higher level and I don't want to say it's a lower level because I don't feel like it's lower. It's higher, but it's dimensional. So it's like, and you see this a lot with the vortexes and the ley lines and all this, the elements combining. But this was different. And it's almost like it was very... gosh, everything in me was saying necromancy when I was there. Hence your show right now. But seriously, that's what I had to ask her about. I'm like, these, but it was higher level, and by that I mean I believe in the planes of existence. I believe in higher level, lower level, by vibrational planes, and this was old on a higher level. And through necromancy, and there's a man and woman there, and yeah, it's very strong, and it's on, and I mean, it's yeah. I'll end with that.
Interesting. So, I hope to go back. I want to go back. I doubt that we'll find a lot of scientific proof of anything there, but I definitely want to go back to see if I can pick up on anything else metaphysically. I've spent the last 6 years trying to find physical evidence of the paranormal, and it's just very fleeting, very hard to do. And if you do, it's like, even if one time I validated a voice phenomena using white noise early on in 2014, and I showed it to people, and it's just like, it don't matter, because everything else is so dismissible, so it's lost in the wash. So a lot of times I just want to go to places just to feel it and experience it for myself. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Places that are just like, what do you think about them cookies?
Yeah, exactly. And I was a paranormal investigator for years too. And I enjoyed it, and that was my path. I mean, I tell everybody I don't regret being on that path, because it was what got me here where I am, where I'm supposed to be. And we're on that path for a reason. People are drawn to the paranormal for a reason, and that reason may be through their spiritual growth, to understand more. And to understand more on that level, we do have to end up going down that paranormal path, because it's the only thing that makes any sense to us when we're at that point in our spiritual awakening or spiritual truth, that we can actually go down and get more information and be able to organize it in our head of what we are trying to discover within ourselves. So I got to the point where I was like, I don't need this evidence anymore. It's cool. I ain't gonna lie, like, it's validation, but I don't need it. And the personal experiences will stay with you for the rest of your life. And them personal experiences cannot take anything away from you. You can sit here and you can tell people about your experiences, and you might have someone who had been in the same situation, in the same location, and that's validation enough. But yeah, you are your best tool, and we've discussed that before. And it's really cool because we're working with SRS Paranormal right now, and they are paranormal investigators, and we're actually doing experiments, and which is cool. Very cool. I love these guys. They are awesome. And what we're doing is kind of blending in the spiritual and metaphysical with the scientific.
I like that. I like that stuff. I think that, if as long as you don't put a whole bunch of expectation on the results to somebody like a skeptic or a scientist, then you won't
Mhm.
feel like some kind of crazy stress. But like, kind of go back to what you're saying about spiritual path and growth. Me, I thought I understood and was prepared to face my own mortality, but in 2011, I lost my grandmother, my grandfather, and my father within a 6-month period. And I was like, what the fuck? I thought
Mhm.
I was, prepared for that. I thought I understood death, but I didn't. It freaked me out. Like, I was like, oh my God, is there a life after death? What do I think it is? What does that mean to me? Like, how can I go beyond this shock of mortality and deal with it? Should I prepare myself spiritually? As I grow older, I got a family now. They're going to grow up and have kids. I'm going to watch them and I'm going to pass away. So what's my spiritual path? Am I okay with just saying, oh, I don't know what's going to happen? We'll just see. No, I'm not okay with that. Some people
Right.
are. So I think that's the interesting part of people's different paths, because sometimes they need to know more. Sometimes when they take that last breath, they don't want regrets. They don't want to have the anxiety of wondering what's going to happen to their spirit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Death is a very, it's weird because as human beings, death to us means loss. It means mourning. It means all these emotions. Death to a person who is looking at it spiritually, it's a beautiful thing. I lost my grandfather, which I was very close to him. It will almost be a year at the end of December. And I miss him very much. I think we all do miss anybody that passes away that's close to us. But I also understand that I just understand the process. That doesn't mean that sometimes I have a good breakdown and cry because I do miss them. It just means that I understand on a spiritual level that it's never ending. Energy is never ending. And the memories of my papa will always be there. Nobody can take that away, and nobody can take the energy away that, he's still around. And it's a beautiful thing to me. And I think it to be on that spiritual level where you can feel like, you can understand death and not hold so much guilt over yourself. It's so funny that we're talking about this, Justin, because the oracle card readings that I've been doing, there's so many people that are around me that are losing people or have lost people and struggling with their deaths, even years after. So, I mean, I don't know, it's a good point.
Well, I don't want to drag this on a long time. I'd like to move on, but through my studies and contemplations about this subject matter, the memory aspect of our consciousness is both a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
You want to hang on to it. It means so much. It carves and shapes this consciousness, this wakeful consciousness. When we drift off to sleep, not so much. In spirit form, not so much. Before we were born in spirit, not so much. And when we pass on from this, will we be able to let go of that memory impact? And I'm trying to preach to people because I know my inner truth tells me you have to be prepared to let that shit go, to go on. If you don't,
Yeah,
you're here. You're lingering. Do,
right.
do you agree with that?
I do. I do. So y'all know I believe in reincarnation. That's how we spiritually grow. Reincarnation is part of spiritual growth to become who we need to be on a spiritual level. And that's why so many people see things so differently. So we're on different growth levels, I guess you could say. So when we reach to that point where it's time for us to ultimately to go, to be one with the universe or whatever you want to think is going to happen, yeah, I believe that you do have to have an understanding of letting go and knowing that it's going to be okay. But I understand how it can be hard for people too. But yeah, and the staying here part, yeah, that's why we have spirits that kind of don't want to. I don't want to say crossover, because when people say crossover, it ain't like they're gone forever. You know, it's a highway. They can go and come as they please. But yeah, things, guilt, guilt, and a lot of other things can hold their energy here.
Right. We won't know until we get to that point, but it's very interesting me to speculate and contemplate about that. So, moving on, Facebook, Derek, any questions? Anything going on over there? Anybody popping in?
Let's see. Bill Davis jumped in. I don't think I got him before. And then we had Chris Hughes jumped on. And then I had a question. Technically, it's from Missy. It just come through my phone because she's on my phone tonight. But she wants to know, how old was Holly when she found out that she was a healer?
I was in my 20s. I was 20. I want to say I was 20. Wait, I'm 34 right now. So let me count backwards. I was 28, and
Wow.
that's too long ago. I actually started having all these experiences when I was in my early 20s, and as far as back when I was 16 years old. But I had no clue. So when someone come up to me, a medium, and they told me that I was going to be leading Black Mountain Paranormal Society as a medium, I laughed, because we've talked about this. I was under the assumption that only certain people have gifts. And so when it started pouring in through meditation, by the way, second time I ever meditated, my hands started heating up, and I was like, what the holy hell is this? And that's when it started going full force into me becoming the healer. And I was mortified. I was like, I don't want to work with the living. I'm working with the dead. That's why I'm a paranormal investigator. But here I am. And it's funny how things change you.
Interesting. So we're all clear on Facebook then?
Yeah. Facebook's been relatively quiet tonight. Just a couple people kind of chatting in the chat room. I did want to throw out there that you didn't mention, but when we were at the Bel Air house, I do recall there was the one moment that was very interesting where we were upstairs. I do believe it was the second floor, and you walked into the back bedroom and you stopped and stared out one window looking down the street that supposedly is where the ley lines cross. And there's been numerous reports of people actually zoning out in that window looking down the street. And you just happened to do that instantly. I mean, the first place you went, bam, down that hallway looking out that window.
Right. So you're asking me to reflect on that now?
Yeah, if you wanted to, since we were kind of, hitting on the Bel Air house earlier, and that didn't get brought up.
To me, it felt like that it was it was a form of something trying to communicate, but not in a way through language. A lot of times, those types of energies, or whatever the heck it is, will communicate in very strange ways. And depending on who it is, they will perceive it differently. And the way I was perceiving is like it was wanting me to experience something that I didn't personally know about. It was almost like I was stepping into someone else's reality. And that was significant, that opening the shades and having this contemplative, mesmerizing, like, stare and gaze out that window. Like, that was significant. And I stayed with that because I was trying to translate and trying to figure out the significance of that, what that was, but I wasn't sure. It wasn't time for me to understand yet.
No. It happens to me all the time, by the way. And it does. It's puzzle pieces, and it's weird. It's the stupidest shit ever. I'll be in places and people see me walking back and forth. Like I feel something, like it's weird. And that's when you'll see me a lot of times. If I'm doing that back and forth deal, I'm like, this is different. There's something here. Like, and usually it's some type of ley line, vortex, whatever. I mean, or energy difference. And then, spirits do communicate so differently. And then, you'll see somebody wandering off. We've all done it. And you wonder why they're wandering off because, we're trying to understand the energy. And so we'll get real quiet. I get really quiet sometimes and I'll zone out, especially during seances, because I have control issues so bad. I've never actually full on channeled during a seance. I'm the type of person that's like, I really want you to talk and I can feel you and I want to say things right now, but I won't let them. And it's weird. And I don't know why. And that's the healer in me too. That's the very dominant and fuck off. But I really want you to speak. It's weird.
I noticed that during the live readings that you do, it seems like you're conflicted between wanting to convey what's coming across and then not wanting to at the same time.
I do it a lot. And only because, first of all, some things are very personal. And I don't think people realize that when I do these readings, anything's nothing is off the table. Anything is on the table. And I don't choose what comes through. It's given to me. And then a lot of people that will come through, what they don't realize is they bring spirits with them. And I don't like channeling like that on lives. And it's weird. And I guess it's my thing, because I will start picking up, a person's spirit, and I will be on that live for at least 30 minutes conveying messages. And by channeling, for me, it's easier that way to let them speak and me speak for them. But it's so much harder on lives because I don't know. It is. It's just weird. It's the worst shit.
Yeah, it's weird. If it wasn't weird and mysterious, we probably wouldn't be so intrigued about it.
Apparently.
YouTube. I don't want to forget about YouTube. Jess, is there anything going on?
Yeah, I have a couple. Val asked, Holly, what advice, links, books, mentors, or can you give someone who was just beginning their journey as a healer? That was from Val.
Oh my gosh. I don't read, so I'm sorry. I can't help you in that aspect. I can read, but I choose not to because I've got ADD. Last time I was on Justin's show, he said afterwards, he's like, Holly, have you ever been diagnosed with an attention disorder? I was like, well, why do you ask? But no, I only read what I feel Spirit's given to me and to get validation from. But I believe that you go within yourself. Meditation, GPS, grounding, protection, and shielding. Meditation. These are your four tools that anybody should start out with. If you're trying to understand the energy, start channeling the energy and have somewhere to take it. Practice on someone. If you think that, if you know you're a healer, but you need to understand the energy, understand how you pull energy and how you push energy. This is my pull hand. This is my giving hand. And that's not necessarily what it is for you or someone else. So it's all about you going within yourself and understanding what Spirit gives you, the way that you work. Try not to compare yourself to what other people are doing because you're your own beautiful creation, a piece of art. So everybody's psychic abilities are not the same and they don't work the same, but we do have similarities where we can relate. Mentors, be careful about who you seek out for advice because we all know that there's a lot of people out there that portray themselves as people who are of love and light and positive. But the minute that you become more or getting more, I want to say the moment that you become relevant, they get very defensive or they get very jealous. So if you're looking for a mentor, let Spirit guide you again through that. I've met people that come in my life on my spiritual journey and they didn't stay. They were there for a little bit and they done me really wrong. And but I thank them for that because this is the way it works. We're always going to be the teacher and the student. People will come into your life. Pay attention to those people. take something from that person, because you're giving something to that person. Doesn't mean that person's going to stay in your life forever. It just means that person's there for a reason to teach you something. So pay attention more. But more importantly, GPS and grounding and meditation with intent. So instead of mindless meditation, meditate from a sacred space. And by that, I mean within yourself. So people think about meditation as, let me sit here and close my eyes. I can't fucking concentrate. I can't do this. How about you close your eyes? Imagine this place that you're going to that is not physical or you've ever known. Build this place within yourself and go to this place. Start disciplining yourself within this space, because you will gain so much from there, and learn so much about yourself. But yeah, YouTube videos, follow what makes sense to you.
Okay. Scotty had a question. Has Holly ever encountered a real demonic presence?
I've said this more than once. I don't really believe in demonic entities. I believe in negative energy, in which we name. So I believe that I have encountered some very negative entities. So whether you want to call them demonic or not, that's fine. But yeah, I don't know how to answer that, because I don't believe in demonic entities. But it's the same word as I'm using as pretty nasty negative energies.
Okay.
And it's weird because I don't like to put names with things. And that's the whole ordeal with people who will call a demonic entity by a name. You're giving that energy, which starts as a negative energy, some type of association and name. So you give what? Power. So when you give something like that power, you're handing over the stick and saying, there you go, fuck me up. So yeah, that's pretty much what I believe. But yeah.
Okay. Jen had a question. Does Holly have to wear a sickness after healing someone? And if they have to, and then she has to get rid of it, like heal yourself from it, shake your hands off, or?
No. Okay. So the way that I work, you should never take on someone's sickness. It's just like an empath. You should never take on someone's emotions. You can feel their emotions. You can take on a spirit's emotions, but you have to let that shit go. So the taking and giving hand, what I take away, if you've ever saw videos of me working, I will take this hand and I'll pull and I'll push down to Mother Earth, because I take it away and I push it down. I take it away and push it down. And once I'm done pulling it out and pushing it down to Mother Earth, then that's when I bring in the healing energy. So you should never take that sickness within yourself, ever. There's always, you're just a vessel for this energy. You are the vessel for healing. You're not supposed to take on the energy.
Okay. Well, that's all I have on YouTube.
I'm going to add to that. This is what I see. This is what I pick up when I see Holly work, because I think it's similar to me. She lets the person heal themselves through her energy. She's not like waving a magic wand. You have to help the person heal themselves in a lot of cases. And the times where I've done this, the people that are needing healing are doing a lot of the stuff to themselves. And without them knowing it, you're providing that, you're adjusting their energy to where they can do the work themselves. You're balancing it, you're adjusting it, you're tweaking it. What's your take on that, Holly?
Absolutely. And there's different types of people that come to me. For instance, so people who struggle with mental disorders, in the sense of energy work with them, I'll tell you, everyone that I've come across that had some major mental disorders, whether it be bipolar, schizophrenia, any of that, major anxiety, these people's chakras are completely blocked. So what I do is clear any of that energy out that's residing, and I just let them self-heal. So, and as far as the hands-on healing, that is more hands-on. I clear out the bad and I put in the good. So I'm a vessel. I let spirit work through me, and whatever happens, happens. I've had people come to me and have profound experiences during a healing session, and then the after effects of it. I don't claim to, mend the blind or anything like that. Whatever happens, happens. And that's spirit's work, not mine. I just happen to be the vessel for that energy.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I don't know where I'm going to go with it, but I'm a father and I'm a husband, and I try to cover all the bases I think are important to cover with my kids, on guiding them and giving them suggestions and advice. I give Christy advice. I try to preach. I try to convey stuff that have inner truths, that is not just, deal with it or go to the doctor type stuff. It's stuff that it's the shit I tell myself and I convince myself of, because I think of myself as a very intuitive, very articulate person when it comes to understanding the reality that we're going through. Like, this, shit happens for a reason. Why is that? Why is it happening for a reason? Well, it's the duality of life. You can't love without hate. You can't have pain without, feeling good. You have to have both.
All right.
And that's that. When people start thinking of it that way, they're like, oh, fuck, baby's got to die of cancer. That's why, that's not what they want reality to be.
Mm-hmm.
So they fight it, and they're causing even more imbalances that way. They're causing more harm to themselves. They won't flow. They'll block. They'll ignore. They'll, what psychologists like to call repression. And it will eventually, go on. And a lot of people that, like you said, that believe in reincarnation, it can go on into the next life even. And that's bad, right?
It is. It is really bad. And that's where you hear people talking about, curses, like curses or in your past lives. Usually the same kind of repetition carries on to them lives until you can learn that lesson to move on from that lifestyle. I told you guys about my past life regression, didn't I? Gosh, y'all got to do that. Oof.
I don't think so.
Are you serious? Oh my God, it was amazing. So I'm very Native American drawn. And I'm like, so recently I found out my great grandmother is full blood Cherokee. Besides that, I already was like, listen, I'm a Native American. I might be white as fuck, but I'm Native American. I feel it. I know it. And this is how we work. We know, like you feel it all within you that you're different and you're drawn to a certain path. Mine's always been Native American, just that spirit. And actually one of my guys, my main guy that works with me, he's right here. He's very Native American too. He's a Native American shaman. So that's who works with me when I'm healing. And it's funny because people see them, not everybody, but people who are more open, they'll see them when I'm doing healing sessions. But the past life regression was so interesting because I know I talked about going to the Akashic Records and being shown 2 of my past lives. Well, in that regression, my first 2 past lives that I went through were the same lives that I seen in the Akashic Records that I was shown by the elders there. But no, I went through the regression. I was Native American not once, but twice in my past life. And the most recent one, it was weird and that made sense to who I am today. I have this fear of losing people out of my life, a rational fear. Usually someone would think, if you have a fear of losing someone in your life now, it's because either, or people getting close to me and walk away. It's because your father wasn't in your life or, all this stuff. Well, guess what? My dad's always been in my life. My mom and dad's always been together and I've never had any kind of traumatic experiences. But during my past life regression, it all made sense afterwards. I had to watch the video to realize it because I don't remember any of it intently. I remember it like a dream, so it's weird.
Right.
But during the Native American lives, I was the tribes, especially. Okay, my first one, I ended up crying because um, I was watching the video. I was crying, and I said they took them all away. Okay, and I went past another life, and then another life. The other life, the last life that I left out at, because what she would do is make you go through a calendar, right? And she's like, stop when you feel like, you want to talk about it. So I stopped, and she asked me what date it was. And usually I would tell her, because I watched the video. I couldn't tell her what date it was, and I couldn't tell her what my name was. And I broke out. I mean, I broke down. I was crying. I was sobbing. Everybody around me that was watching, which was the girls, because it was private in our hotel room, they started crying, breaking down, and like this. But, and it was funny because I woke, when I come back out, I had tears flowing down my face. I believe that at one time that I was a part of a genocide, and it was bad. I mean, yeah, so it explains that Native American love, and it's past life regressions ain't no joke if you go to the right person.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what the hell would be in my past life, because I have no idea.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, if y'all ever get the chance during your meditation in your sacred space, get pulled up to the Akashic Records. It's an amazing experience too.
Right. Derek, did you want to quickly make sure that Lacey knows how to follow the page and everything?
Yeah, I think by what she wrote, she already went up and found all the information she needed. The people in the chat room has been kind of helping out.
All right. I just wanted to make sure, because that's cool that we're getting new people in here. I want to make sure that they can watch the future shows and follow along with everything.
Right.
Hey, Justin.
That is pretty neat.
Yes.
Sorry. Val actually asked a question if, I know she wanted to know if Holly has a Facebook and if she has a YouTube channel. I know obviously about the Facebook, but I didn't know if she had a YouTube.
Yes, I have YouTube. It's Holly Mullins, and you can actually find some of my videos talking about spirituality and things like that on there. I don't do them very often anymore. I travel a lot, so I do a lot of Facebook Lives, so you can follow me on there.
Joe reminded me of something. He says, I was told in a past life I was murdered by a jealous husband. No joke. Well, that would indicate that he was a woman in a past life. I actually feel like that I was a woman. What do you think about that? Because a lot of people, when they get past life readings and everything, that they're the same sex as they were. And a lot of stuff that I see, but that's not always the case, right?
No, it's not. No. Actually, I will tell you, I was a woman all through my past lives. But now the other girls that got the readings, they were a male at one time in their past lives. So it was funny to watch, because when you're under hypnosis for regression, your demeanor and everything changes. Your voice, even the way that you handle your voice changes. But yeah, definitely. Why would there's no that's the human body. That has nothing to do with your spiritual body, or who we reincarnate into, the body that we reincarnate into.
Right. I believe that, we both have female and male spiritually in a way within us.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
yeah.
how it manifests is, through the chromosomes and the genes, and then it carries on into the physical. But, there are differences in how the two sexes vibrate in the way, spiritually, how, they do things. I do believe that the more pure the energy and the spiritual gets, the more feminine qualities it exhibits, but it doesn't mean that it's quote unquote female, because there's a lot, in our culture, there's a lot of repression of those energies in men in our present day culture, which is something I'm independently trying to work on, because I was brought up to be homophobic. I was brought up, quit crying, you fucking baby type thing. And that does damage. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah. No, I absolutely understand that, because I come from the same type of background, and it's racism and it's homophobia. And I don't feel that way at all. I don't see color. I don't see sexuality like that. And when I read for people, I always bring up, a lot of the times, I will bring up their feminine energy or their male energy. So I get what you're saying.
Good. I'm not crazy then, right?
No, you're not. Whenever you let spirit take over and guide you, that's the best teacher you could ever have.
Intuition has always been there for me. You know, I'm a gut person, but I have insecurities. Joe Vitale made the comment. He's like, you come across as a science guy, but I know better. And I'm like, well, yeah. I kind of have this complex. I want people across the board to not be, look at that guy, he's just a crazy guy. I want the skeptics, the nerdy people to be like, okay, he's speaking my language, I might listen to him a little bit longer. I might just not let it go, go by my radar. So I'm kind of like, I'm playing a game with people and how they perceive, and what's the word I'm trying to look for? A lot of people just judge people based on that. So if they saw how I grew up and they met my mother, they'd be like, "You're a science guy?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, because objective truths are very useful, but they are not useful in the situations that people ponder about. Usually, mortality, life after death, all those things, science has no use for. I mean, there's nothing for it." And you have to turn to philosophy. You have to turn, to the inner truths. And I love that. That's part of us we shouldn't ignore. We shouldn't dismiss, right? What's your thoughts?
Right. No, absolutely. I believe that everybody should have a healthy dose of that. The scientific side and the spiritualist side, especially if you are out there and you are trying to understand. I'm going to be honest. I know I do. I'm more on the spiritual pony than anything, but I've been on that scientific side of it. And to be honest, where I feel comfortable is to hook me up. Do your experiments on me if you want to. I'll be your guinea pig. But I'm more of, like I said, I'm just that spiritual realm. That's where I am. That's where I reside. And that's where I'm comfortable at. And not saying that I look down upon scientific methods. I welcome it. That's the reason that we are working with SRS Paranormal right now. I'm going to let them do their thing, because I don't miss carrying around all that equipment. I don't miss having to set it up and break it down. And I don't miss going over that evidence.
Right. I want the viewers to know something. This is straight out of my heart and my head. You can measure things and it has a meaning and a use. But when we're talking about the infinite, the spirit, there's a measurement that is not there for you. Okay? So once you wrap your head around that, a lot of skeptics that I talk to, they're obsessed with quantizing everything. I have to know what's real, what's not real. I have to know what the measurement is. I got to know what's bullshit versus reality. This shit is all fucking playing games with you, bro. This is something that, you put a coin in and you're just holding on for dear fucking life. And how you come out to the end, you're lucky if you don't come out a raving fucking lunatic.
It's true. You know what? It's funny because people talk about spiritually awakening. It's so much more different than what people realize. It's not. I see some memes sometimes, and it's hilarious because it does refer. You think it's rainbows and Skittles. It's more like, oh my God, it's going through the ringer. Because guess what? You have to turn around and you have to look at yourself. You have to find out who you are. Your identity stripped. You think you know who you are, and then you're put through that. And then it's different. You have to deal with any insecurities that you have. You have to deal with any ego tendencies that you have, and you have to let go of a lot, and then you have to find yourself. And that feels like you're put in a hole, and the only thing that's around you is dirt, and you're trying to pull yourself up with just your hands. So that's about like how it is.
Right.
It's beautiful once you get out of that hoe.
All right. We're over an hour, but it really doesn't matter. This is kind of like a let's hang out with Holly and have some fun type show. So, what would you tell the viewers right now? The best thing they could do. I mean, there's a lot of people that come to you for guidance, for healing, for answers. What's the tagline that Holly has to offer to kind of put some wind in their sails, to kind of give them some hope? And what would that one thing be?
Trusting your intuition, but I would have to say I don't look at myself as a guru or someone that has the answers. I don't have the answers. The answers to your questions are within yourself. Go within yourself to search for them and trust that your intuition, because spirit ultimately is going to give you the answers, but you have to be still. You have to listen, and you have to act upon that and not doubt yourself. Doubt is the biggest human issue that we have when it comes to intuition, is doubting everything about ourselves.
Yeah. There's a lot of times people know what the answer is, but they want you to tell them. They want you to echo it back, validate it for them. Why do you think that is?
Because they don't trust in the information that they have. Because, I mean, that's the main thing. Depends on the situation. But if you have someone who thinks that they're same reason that I went to people. When someone told me I was a healer, and I was like, so here I am grasping for the edges. I told you guys about that. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know who to talk to. So I talked to anybody. And if it sounded right to me, then I'd be like, hell yeah, that makes sense. Here we go. So I get it. I've been there. But the difference is there's so much more information now than there was back when I was 21. When I was I was blind as fuck going around. It's like going in the dark trying to find stuff, and you can't, because you need that light. You need a guidance to where to go to. So trust in every person that you meet along the way. When you meet your teachers, you'll know it. Pay attention, people, because it is around you. If it is meant for you to, I don't want to say if it's meant for you to grow, but if it's meant for you at that moment to grow, then you're going to, and never get frustrated about it, because it's not on your time. It's not like these readings I give. I don't choose what comes out of my mouth for you. And you might want one thing, but spirit is going to give me the information that you need, not what you want.
Right. Go ahead, Missy. She's getting her earbuds in. She's putting her ears on. It looks great. Now unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. Unmute.
Missy?
Yes.
There you go. Okay. For a minute there, I was seeing Derek respond like Missy. So now I know why, because you traded phones.
Yeah.
Missy, you're stuck.
I'm stuck.
You are told things that you know the answers to, right?
Right.
So why can't you make the change?
I don't know. I don't trust in myself enough, I guess.
Why not?
I don't know.
You don't want to.
I think it's funny. You know what I think's funny, Justin? Because me and you are so much alike, it ain't even funny. Because when people come to me, I feel like it's because it is for that validation, for that their sight, per se. So you're the person who says, pay attention. Let me turn your head this way so you can see it for what it really is. So people do come to me for advice. They come to me for questions, and I will gladly answer them. But I will tell you this, whatever decision that you make, whatever choice of path that you go on, that is up to you and your intuition. I just work the way that I work. Spirit all the way. You'll hear me say that a lot, but it's true. I think that people who draw people in, like myself or like you, Justin, because you get people coming to you all the time, and or we have some of the same people that come to us for advice, that it just flows through naturally. That the information that we're given, it's not pulling it out of our ass or a book. It's coming from a different place.
Well, yeah, the intuition, right? So the way I see it is, I'm confident. Missy, not so much. Missy knows the answer to the second question on the same test that we're taking. I know the answer, she knows, but I'm more confident that I know than she knows. She will second guess. Like, I know I just read that, and I know I was prepared for this test, but I can't mark B in the multiple choice question because what if I'm wrong?
I do that. I still do that. I've always been that way. And so that was the hardest thing for me personally to overcome. So I understand that, because we are so wired like that to second guess ourselves. Now, as far as the confidence goes, it takes time, and confidence comes in many different ways.
So, Missy, what do you think you need to get over the hump?
I don't know.
Well, I told you that you have an ability.
Right.
Excuse me, and I told you that you you can use your ability to do healing, do stuff. But when it comes to actually moving forward and doing that, you have to heal your own. You have to lick your own wounds first.
Right.
So you haven't got over that hump yet.
Right.
Letting go probably is one of the hardest things to do, especially if it's so ingrained in who you are.
Right.
That's who the fuck you are. That's what you dream about. That's what you think about before you go to sleep. That's what you think about when you wake up. That's what you've always thought about. You're constantly, just churning over those thoughts and those feelings. There's a lot of studies that's been going on with psilocybin mushrooms and psychedelics rebooting those areas of the brain. But there's ways to do it without the psychedelics. You just have to understand the neurology. My best advice to you, outside of slamming some mushrooms and going on a vision quest, is to actually learn about those aspects of neurology and the psychology. Because I know you read. So start cramming, because that's what I did when I was in my teens and high school. When I started seeing all this information out there, I was like, oh my God, I have to know this crap, because it's going to help me. Because people are always dealing with shit. We're constantly dealing with stuff. Like Holly said, it's not rainbows and unicorns.
No, and I'm totally opposite, guys. I don't like to read. So when I'm like, some people don't like to meditate, and I understand that, but I'm telling you right now, if you're going to a place where you spiritually want to grow, you find some way to go within yourself. If it's not meditation, because from my own experience, and this for years, it's awesome. But taking the information that you're receiving and applying it confidently, I understand what you're saying, Justin, to her, because when I first started healing, you know what? I questioned if I was doing it right, because so many other people, done it specific ways. And I'm like, am I doing this right? I don't even know what I'm doing. But that's the beautiful thing about it too, when you're spirit led, is you just let it go. You lead, and you just trust in it, and you just follow it, and just let it go.
Well, you told me that the other night, Holly. You told me to just learn to love myself, and everything would come together. basically, is what you told me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you want to talk about this right now? We will talk about this because with me, I kept going. I was like, why am I getting like surgery, weight loss surgery, and all this other stuff? I can't figure out what. And just, I'm like, what is going on with this? But it's how you view yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you have a very bad self-image of yourself, which you shouldn't. You're a beautiful damn woman.
Well,
And
I hate to interrupt Holly, but I'm going to give you a little bit of background information. But before I do that, that microphone of yours, Missy's, is scratching up against your sweatshirt, and it sounds awful.
Okay.
I thought it was my bills.
No. Yeah, just don't let it touch your shirt, and you're good.
Okay.
Okay. You probably already know she dealt with, a lot of health issues. She went into a coma because what was it, Missy? A brain aneurysm? What happened? Yeah.
I had an aneurysm.
She had a stroke, which caused an aneurysm. She went into a coma. She should be fucking dead.
No, I didn't know that.
So that's when it started. Okay, her mother and her siblings and her father had to go through great measures to make sure she was being cared for and got healthy again. And, now she's on, disability. She has no fucking kneecaps. She's constantly dealing with all these issues. So that doesn't help the fact, that she's dealing with what she's dealing now. She's like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like a form of PTSD in a way.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. And I also understand the confident thing. And people, what me and Jess has been talking about here is inner confidence. But there's also the outer confidence. But I always preach about self-love and how people... Hold on a minute. Can y'all hear me? Okay. How people should love themselves. And that comes within. And then it can start to pour out from you. So it's accepting yourself for who you are. And in that process of healing, because it's taking them parts of yourself that you find and hate and don't even like to look at and bundle them up and say, fuck it, I'm going to love you. Because I love myself. I respect myself. It becomes different. And then the spiritual journey that you're on, that's just a little part of it. And it's part of trusting yourself and being confident in who you are. But definitely, like with your reading, even though it was very just one card draw, I kept thinking, the confidence thing definitely come through. But I couldn't figure out why I kept getting like weight. Like, I think you're hard on yourself with your weight.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you are... I don't know what you're complaining about, okay? But have you seen me? Have you seen me? Yeah, no, I'm playing. I'm okay with myself. But no, seriously, I get it. It's different for women to look at themselves at any weight, and it's how they see themselves. So I get it. But you're a beautiful woman. You should accept yourself, and you should be confident in who you are. And I would take the steps in finding that confidence within yourself and letting it shine without her confidence.
Jess told me that Tuesday.
Yeah.
So.
And sorry to interrupt, but to answer Eric's question, Missy is the one that has the Psychic Dreamer title in the Interface Death Field Research Group. Any other questions that we need to address on YouTube? I don't want to skip over these. Jessica, have you been keeping track of
Yeah,
them?
no, that was about it. And he wanted to know if there was any videos, but I told him to message you.
Videos of?
Missy.
As far as her doing her work, a lot of that's done behind the scenes. Go ahead and mute your mic, Missy. All I can hear is it scratching against.
Sorry.
It's okay. There we go. Only if I could do that. Only if Christy could do that to my microphone, right? Yes, what we do is we try to do experiments, kind of like what Holly is doing with the other paranormal investigation group. We go in, she goes in, she tells us what she picks up on at the locations, plus she has dreams before she goes. She doesn't tell us what the dreams are. She documents them, she goes to the location, and whatever we find or whatever we experience, if they correlate with their dreams, that's the kind of data we're looking for. How accurate her dreams are, what dreams mean something to the location or to the phenomena, what doesn't. So that's the kind of stuff that we do in that regard. But it's very hard because in order for us to do it correctly, we have to leave her out of the loop. So that almost doesn't get done the way it should, because, you know, she's in the group because she wants to go through the historical tours. She wants to jump in the meetings prior to the places we go. It's almost impossible. So hopefully that answered that. Holly, now we can, before we wrap up this show, I don't want to drag it on too long, but this experiment you're going to do with this other paranormal group, is it going to be something similar to that? And then if so, how do you plan to deal with those issues?
So we had our first run through at Brushy Mountain Prison, which, by the way, you need to go there. Amazing location. It shouldn't be for amateurs. It shouldn't be a place for shits and giggles and someone who just wants to be scared. It should be for seasoned investigators and spiritualists who know how to handle their shit. We went in there cold. SRS went in the day before us. They interviewed everybody there. They had all their history and everything. So we just drove in, walked in the building, and our deal was we was going to try to keep everything from each other. So whatever we were picking up on, we did discuss. We said, okay, let's say one thing that we felt about this coming into it in the vehicle. So we told that. So we got there and we went through the tour. The thing about it is the tour guide, she couldn't tell us shit. She could only walk through with us and tell us what each area was. So this is where, for instance, this is where they would have housed. So like they didn't say any specific names, no information. She had the hardest damn time. So at one point, we were about an hour and a half in. We were at what they called the Hoe. And Rhonda ended up having an experience where I had to pull her away. So I went into that defense mode. But it all spilled out there. We was like, okay, this is it. We are going to all get out here and we're going to discuss what we've been picking up on. Because she was the tour guide, Jamie, was having a huge hard time keeping her mouth shut because we were hitting on things that the public didn't even know about. I kept picking up Charles Manson, and I couldn't figure out why. His right-hand man was actually there at Brushy Mountain Prison. I had no idea. But anyway, it was very cool. Very, very cool. But we are tweaking things. We're going to go on and continue to do these locations. The locations that we go to are no history whatsoever will we know about. And we will just drive to that location, pop in, and do our thing. SRS does all the backbone work and the filming and the scientific part of it. I know that Matt is working on hooking up some type of device to monitor our heart, things like that, so they can see as we're doing these walkthroughs and these interactions how our body reacts to what we're going through. So it's really cool. I'm excited about it because I just get to pop in and be the psychic.
That's cool. Yeah, one of my favorite shows to watch on TV is Dead Files, and I would love to actually do that type of experiment.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I know because they've mentioned that before. How and that SRS, the guys, when they sat down and talked to us, they said we would like to do something similar to that. And I was like, well, you got to tell me because I don't watch a lot of TV. I know who the people are. I just don't watch a lot of TV.
You should check out an episode or two. I bet you'd like it.
I'll have to do that.
All right, Holly. We could do this all night. We're losing a little audience retention. We're still doing okay, but we're losing a little bit. So let's wrap things up. Let everybody know again how to keep in touch with you. what's coming up. I know we talked about the experiment and stuff, so plug your stuff. Let people know what's going on in your life, what's coming up, and we'll close it out.
Absolutely. Coming up, the Southern Gypsies, I am part of the Southern Gypsies, and that is pretty much my life as a psychic. This is our downtime. But anyway, we have our Yule celebration coming up, and we also, in the same day, have a Home for the Holidays, which we will be doing a gallery reading at the Nickerson Sneed House in Glade Springs, Virginia. Tickets and all the information are up on the Southern Gypsies Facebook page. We have filming coming up. We have a lot of things. We're going to New Orleans in March. We have a lot of events that we're going to be doing, and a lot of people that we're going to be working with, and a lot of filming going on.
That's awesome. And don't forget about December 17th.
December 17th, I'm going to be on a show with Justin.
We're going to do it again, but on a different format.
Uh-huh.
We're going to throw an investigator and a skeptic in the mix, and I don't have the actually I do have the topic. Heather Elliott, she's a member of the Ghost Guild. She's a follower of our shows and stuff. You might have heard of her. Super cool gal. She's going to be an investigator. You will freaking love Heather. You will love her. You will fall in love. I know this. And I need to find a skeptic. But December 17th, you can find Holly on that show. That's going to be on Live Paranormal. Just follow our stuff and you'll see it pop up. But I want to thank you for coming on again. I know that you it's going to be hard for you to say no to us because, you're connected through Josh Bender and we've become great friends. And, there's a great deal of respect that we have for you. And I think the feeling's mutual. And it's awesome to sit down and talk with you. I think that if you feel like you can do it for hours and hours and that's okay, then that's a good sign, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love you guys. I have a big kinship to you guys. And, Josh, he's our man. He's put all of us together, and that's cool because, anybody that Josh surrounds himself with is my people's too, because he's my brother from another mother. And I mean, if I could ever say I had a soul brother, he would be it. He's an amazing individual. And I'm very proud of you, Josh, if you're watching. And I'm excited to do stuff with you guys. And I think we should here in the future.
I think it's going to, whether we plan it or not. I think the stars will just force those things upon us, as they say.
Yes, I foresee that we will be working together.
All right, Holly, thanks again. We're going to wrap up the show up. Just hang out in the video call while we do that. All right, guys, there you have it. Holly Mullins, always a pleasure. Check her out on Facebook. Keep up to date with her stuff. She's always pushing, always, trying to do what she can to continue her spiritual path and continue her paranormal work. So next week we have Neil Parks going to be on the show. Hopefully he's not sick. If he is sick, I might just go down to Chillicothe and force his hand onto Google Hangouts. So hopefully that's not the case. Neil Parks is an author and a paranormal investigator, and from the neighboring county of myself. So that should be an interesting show. Next week we will have a soapbox show. The Supernatural Symposium show is not until December 17th. We'll have Holly, Heather, and an unscheduled skeptic on the show. The topic for that's going to be EVP, so that should be interesting. We're going to hop on over to the social screen real quick. If you're not familiar with our paranormal work, check out interfacedeath.net. Check out patreon.com/supportinterfacedeath. We'll go in more depth here in a second, but if you would like to support us financially and get rewarded for it, to make sure that this content stays, gets better, continues to grow, check out that. Follow the Necromancer Live Show on Facebook, and keep updated with Interface Death on Instagram and Twitter. I mean, we throw up Josh Bender's photography, Derek and myself's photography, to all the locations we go, and that's another core thing that we like to do and share with you folks. So check that out as well. The Patreons listed on the screen is very important to us. Clay Borman, RJ Murphy, Danette Goldtrip, Jessica Bias, Scotty Fox, Sherry Brett, Bill Davis, and Joe Vitale. Without their contributions, this stuff would not exist. So if you would like to be part of this family, you can check out patreon.com, check out the rewards you get, check out all the incentives. The link's in the video description. So I'm going to leave it there. You guys have a good night. You're in my heart. I love you. Check us out on the shows coming up. I will see you next time. Stick around for the video promotions as always. Later.
Are you in this room over here? What the fuck, dude?
Whoa.
That's weird.
You didn't do anything, right?
No, I just turned.
Justin too close.
No,
He opened that door and it went off.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you just run out of there? What was that?
I don't know. I feel like I can't breathe in this room.
Generally, Justin, when you guys investigate, do you just take long pauses, wait to see if you hear things, observe everything that's going on?
It depends on the location and our experience with the location. So in this case, at Waverly Hills, since we've been here before, we've heard a lot of stories, done a lot of research, and investigated, we typically like to listen a lot because we hear the coughing, we heard it last time, so we didn't hear it again.
Of prolonged isolation, paranoia, depression, helplessness, brain stimuli decreases. Now, what happens when you put a man isolated in 3 paranormal infested buildings for 3 nights in each location, all by himself? No one to help me. No one to protect me. Just me versus you. Does paranormal activity increase?
So what do you think of this piece of evidence? I think by far it's the best piece of evidence we have seen here.
That's flat out amazing. And that's something we've never captured.
Oh, wow.
What? Nobody has ever got it on video.
That's creepy.
In 11 years.
So no one's ever caught this on video?
Never.
Ever.
Here is my story, and here is what I went through for my research into the paranormal. Push the door, please.